Good morning. I'm happy to speak to all of you this morning. It's been quite a tumultuous few months, and I am getting so many phone calls and so many pleas for help that it's time we talk about the silver bullet. Because everybody wants the silver bullet. Everybody wants someone else to do this for them, to find the silver bullet to put in the gun to destroy the banker's fraud. Well, folks, we, you and me, we are the silver bullet. All of those coming forward, asking how can we get involved? You are involved. Wake up, folks. Powers versus Bank of New York Mellon. This case is for all of us. This isn't about me anymore. When I filed this case, it was about my home. It was about my equity. It was about the millions of dollars in damages. But now, this is about us. This is about us coming together. It's not one silver bullet. It's millions of silver bullets. This is you and me, folks. This is about a case that has been brought, that's never been brought before. This is about a case where 50 to 70 people showed up and crammed that courtroom on July 30th. This is a case that's had so many twists and turns. I feel like I'm living a Lifetime movie. And 11 years, folks, is a lifetime. My children don't know me as I would be without this banker fraud. My health, my life would be very different if not for this banker fraud. Congressional regulations, folks, have been on the books 100 years. There doesn't need to be any more laws written. This is it. Congress intended that we would not have usurpation of foreign entities upon American soil, stealing the land, home, lives, equity, and estates of American people. These congressional laws, and I call them congressional, because if they are not going to be used, they're cons. But they're not. They can't be. Too many men have lost their lives, too many women, too many journalists lately bringing truth. We have debt collectors going into these courts presenting fraud upon the courts, which is void. You cannot present fraudulent documents that have no standing. These attorneys coming into these courts, they're not bringing verified claims. What are they verifying? They're verifying their own belief in what they have written or their paralegals have written into these documents. No, or they bring in straw buyers who sign and autograph something. Well, I don't care how much you autograph something. If you're autographing fraud, it's void. And I am so sincere when I tell you this. Look at me. We, you, me, we, us, all of us are in this together. Call your friends, call those losing their homes, tell them, even being kicked out of your home, it's still yours. Fraud equals void. Congressional regulations are on the books. Powers versus Bank of New York Mellon, I didn't have to bring this. When Carl Collicott and I met and started conversing, it all made sense. For those of you who know me, you know I've been working for years doing everything possible. Everything. And as an attorney told me the other night who knows me very well, he said, you have not left any rock unturned. You've done everything possible. I have. And you know why I did? Because of you, because of people needing help, because of me. Because I did not want to have someone ask me a question that I couldn't at least try to answer. Did I do all the work to become an American national? Yep, every bit of it. Ask my sister Chris. Chris Winsey and I spent years doing everything that the guru said to do. And then I learned from a very nice man I know. He said, "Hon, paperwork doesn't make you a woman. You were born a woman. Everything else is hearsay. You were born a woman." He's right. You were born a man. If you're a man watching this, you were born a man. I was born a woman. All these other hundreds of different terms, I don't care, but one way or another, you were born. You don't need a piece of paper to tell you that. And we don't need a piece of paper to tell us we have unalienable rights. Read the Bill of Rights. Read the Declaration of Independence. Read them. Comprehend them. Read them out loud. Get someone you love to sit with you and read it to each other, because once you actually read the words, and remember, words are everything. And words have lots of meanings. Read the words. Read the Constitution. Read that you have rights. And congressional regulations tell us we have a right to live free of this usurpation. Congress is telling us that. Congressman McFadden in 1932 gave the best speech ever on the floor of Congress, telling them, you guys, these banks are operating in fraud. You can't do this to the American people. You can't let this happen. You must stop this invasion of foreign entities. And these foreign entities that have invaded are called banks, bankers, because you, I'm trying to point, not quite sure where I'm reaching, but you really are the bank. Our Jane Doe testifying under seal of identity and testimony, she's very real. She was born a real woman. No paperwork, remember? But guess what? She knows after years, 35 years of working for the federal agencies, working federal crimes, financial crimes, she knows we are the bank. She knows every debt is prepaid. She knows that this is all credit. And guess what? Under congressional regulations, these foreign bankers, they have no authority to lend credit to the people or the public at large. Look around you. That's us. They have no authority. Carl and I and John went live on air with Colonel Horton, who was a very good friend of President Trump. He listened to us. We're being heard. We are collectively the silver bullet. And the only way we are going to win this is to recognize that when they steal your home, your life, your panties, as in my case, they're still yours. Now, Al Capone, many of these criminals, how did they get put away? IRS fraud. Why does it take IRS fraud to put these guys away? When these feds really want to arrest criminals, they find a way. Or when they want to arrest us for giving the information to stop the criminals that they're participating with, they find a way to do that too, fraudulently. And these courts, these unlawful detainer courts, well, unlawful is a good word there because they're unlawful. They are not legally proceeding. They're operating under the color of law, not law. Not protecting us as they're supposed to. Your district attorney, Tony Rackakis, is the district attorney here. You know, he does a few things that make him look good, but he has thousands who've lost their homes, thousands. And we've given him the evidence. We've given him the proof. I have the letters. Again, I've done everything. More paperwork than you can imagine. Showing the fraudulent grant deed, showing the forgeries, showing the crimes against humanity. And that was before I knew that Congress had already done everything and put it in place. 100 years of laws on the books. Go read Regulation O. Oh, banks gotta go. That's the truth. The fake banks. Do you know what a banker is? He's a broker. A banker is not the bank. You are. You are the bank. I am the bank. How? Well, all of those people out there for decades who've been saying that we have accounts, Fed window, that are being accessed. It's real, folks. It's true. Our Jane Doe, she found the evidence of it. She was a federal employee. She didn't want any of that to be real. But imagine her surprise when she found that all debts are prepaid, that these bankers are nothing but brokers stealing, which is bank robbery, bank robbery, bank robbery, bank robbery, bank robbery, from our accounts. Nothing better than finding the truth and believing you're going to be able to fix all of this because, wow, the truth is we're the bank. We have accounts sitting there. Remember I told you I've done thousands of pages. Well, I've also done hundreds of thousands of hours probably in research, and that's not a joke. When you're at this so many years and you wake up and you go to sleep and you dream this, because this becomes your life, biggest mistakes these bankers did was stealing homes. They could have gotten away with this forever until they started stealing our homes. You steal a man's roof over his head and destroy him in front of his family, belittle him or her, make them feel stupid, make them feel an equivalent to a cockroach on the floor because your family thinks you've done something wrong. Judge Carter on July 30th talked about the Lehman Brothers case. He talked about the Standards and Moody's case. He didn't just talk about it. He has firsthand knowledge. Firsthand knowledge. That's a big thing in court, folks. You and I, we go into these courts, we have firsthand knowledge of our case. These fraudulent attorneys, and I do call them fraudulent, they come in there saying they have verified claims from their clients. What client? Where's the harmed party but us? They don't show up because they don't exist. There is no harmed party. There's not one penny invested in anything to do what appears to be any kind of mortgage or deed of trust, because they're all fictitious. How many of you have gone down to the county recorders and just pulled some of these? Do you realize they say fictitious deed of trust on so many of them? And as Carl taught me a couple weeks ago, California Civil Code 2953. If non-judicial foreclosure is mentioned in a contract, non-judicial, you have a right to cancel that. Look up what non-judicial means. Talk about a surprise. Carl's a whiz at pulling out this information. This is all involved in multifamily units, everything that has to do with nothing we bring to the table. Do you realize residential real property isn't even mentioned anywhere in congressional regulations? Ask them. I've got residential real property here on this. How did you pull this off? Where's the collateral deposit? Say you can pull it off, which you can't, but say you can. Do you know you're required to give a 100% cash collateral deposit? Cash collateral deposit, are you folks listening? There's no cash. It's all book entries. It's all sleight of hand. It's all trickery. It's created fictitiously. It's phantom. It is phantom. Have you read the Credit River decision? We talk about it all the time. Why? Because we take the Credit River decision to the nth degree. We prove the other side. Credit River decision proved that this is all fiat, that this is all fictitious, that it's all credit that doesn't exist anywhere. That's proven. You read Modern Mechanics? How in the world did we get here? This is evil against good. Spiritually, we're being brought together. It's been a long time gathering these souls. And that's one thing these bankers can't own. They cannot own your soul. You're in charge of your soul. You're in charge of your autograph. But you were tricked into giving an autograph so that they, the bankers, the brokers, could access the Fed window and take out of your account. You know, all of these have to be settled within 72 hours. Prepaid. And a cash collateral deposit has to exist where this credit is issued. That's illegal. But a cash collateral deposit has to exist, and guess what that cash collateral deposit is? That's what's being liened, not your home. Read your notice of trustee sale. Bidders beware. You're bidding on a lien, not the property. Why are you bidding on a lien? And why isn't it laid out in that notice of trustee sale? Because it's unrecordable the way they're written. Because they're forgetting one main component. The lien is supposed to be on the collateral deposit. And that collateral deposit only exists on paper. And monopoly paper is not cash. But it's worth about the same as that piece of paper that they're trying to say exists. How many times have they sold your piece of paper with your digitalized autograph? Folks, we are the silver bullet. This is the truth. These bankers are brokers. You don't need a broker. We need our accounts, our retirements. All that is ours in beneficial interest. And we need these courts to uphold congressional laws. They want to talk about law. They want to talk about equity. Well, okay, they've stolen our equity illegally. And your laws tell them they can't steal our equity. They can't steal our land. They have no right to lend credit to the people or public at large. All debt's prepaid. It's that simple. Do you realize this simple fix? Why do you think we're seeing so many shootings, so many distractions? I believe we're seeing all of this because it's distracting us from the one simple truth. These bankers got to go. They're brokers. These brokers have got to be shut down. These debt collectors, they're criminals. They're bank robbers. They're robbing us, the bank. Fed Reserve, President Trump's been talking about bringing it back to America. Make America good again. Make America great again, actually. And everybody keeps saying, oh, it was already great. No, what he's talking about is very different. What he's talking about, think, Congressman McFadden, Kennedy, Nancy Schaefer. These people gave up their lives fighting this corruption. Nancy gave up her life. She was murdered because she was trying to out CPS crimes. She had the proof. Proof's out there. Everybody knows CPS is part of the criminal human trafficking. That's not even a guess anymore. There is no guessing. And what is human trafficking? It's tied into the banks. Have any of you Googled Bank of America laundering money for the drug cartel? Google it. None of this is a surprise. What is a surprise is that we've been quiet to this for so long. We are the bank. Where's the collateral deposit? They have none. This is why we don't get to discovery. This is why the judges rule on everything without juries. Because these judges are worried about their pensions. But guess what? Our U.S. FBI, you're going to love this. Unless you've been reading what I've been posting on Abolish the Bankers, they've actually been arresting Australian citizens involved in racketeering, stealing judges' retirements, investors' retirement accounts. Okay, great, arrest them. But guess what? That means you know all of this is fraud. You know none of this is real. You know our homes are being stolen. You know women like me should not be kicked out of their home with fraud. You know sheriffs should not come with a SWAT team and helicopters stealing everything right down to my underwear. My panties. Maybe these sheriffs like panties of other people, because we're sure seeing a lot of these bad sheriffs getting arrested lately, aren't we? Rapes, drug trafficking, involved in human trafficking. The good men and women are in these jobs. Where are they? Let's pray they're behind the scenes right now doing something, because guess what? I am tired of getting phone calls and listening to women and children being removed from their home in fraud. When Kimberly Bonds called me 2 Saturdays ago, I cried with her. She was locked out of her home with her children. Handcuffs were actually put on the family and they were taken down to the station. Why? So the crooks could empty her home. Is that what we're about? Is that what we are going to allow? Are we going to be collectively the silver bullet, you and me? Because I can tell you, when I brought this case, Powers versus Bank of New York Mellon, I knew there was fraud, and I knew our accounts were being accessed. I'm a whistleblower with the Securities and Exchange Commission. This case of Powers versus Bank of New York Mellon is a first impression case. You want to talk Ketam, Quitam, whatever you want to call it, banana, potato, I don't know, but I can call it real. This case is a real case of first impression that belongs up in Washington, D.C. Judge Carter couldn't rule on this case because he had no other cases to rule from. He said he didn't know how I could privately bring this action. He couldn't understand how I could privately bring this action. The 4 defendants, Stephen Britt of Bank of America, supposedly, and 2 other defendants. And then you have Stephen Daly of Kutak Rock stepping forward. Even the judge said, 3? MERS, Select Portfolio Servicing, Bank of New York Mellon. Conflict of interest much? Think about it, folks. These guys are coming forward with fraud. These guys are coming forward to take your home, and these judges aren't listening? Well, they know. How is it the FBI is over arresting and indicting here Australians and Scots, and yet we, the homeowners, are left out of the party? Again? This is our party. Powers versus Bank of New York Mellon, civil joinder of criminal actions is the party, folks. You're invited. Get involved. Go to www.abolishthebankers.com. We must bring real, live men and women to the party, our party. We, you and me, the silver bullets. Because there isn't one. Everybody calls, what's the one thing we can do? I've done so much. Well, you're calling the wrong lady to find one thing, because I've done everything. I've done thousands of pieces of paper. I've done hundreds of letters. In 2014, 2013 to 2014, I'm a California 18 member. C.J. Holmes brought 18 cases in 2013 with a promise from Kamala Harris of investigation. Her team was supposed to investigate the 18 cases of recordation fraud, Recon Trust, Countrywide, et cetera, U.S. Bank, Jamie Diamond, they're all demons in my book. A year after CJ sent these documents in, we found out there was no investigation. There was nothing done. William Wagner took the California 18 live on air. We did hours presenting the truth, presenting the crimes. And we were all shocked. Why isn't Kamala Harris, I called her Kamala at the time, so I got corrected, Kamala, why isn't she doing anything? Why is she letting these crimes continue? A year later, in 2015, I found out why. After being SWAT teamed illegally with no warrant for the sheriffs again to come upon my property with assault weapons, helicopter, to lead a cell tower employee with a fraudulent contract onto my land. Yeah, I gave it to the judge in the court and told him it was all fraud. So in 2015, after that, stood in front of the Board of Supervisors. Todd Spitzer promised an investigation. Promised. He said, he told Leon Page, County Counsel, get these 2 cases over to the Real Estate Fraud Division with Megan Wagner and this Peter guy. I can't remember his last name. Have them investigate. Get them going on these 2 high-profile cases. Mine and Cindy Brown's. I did get contacted by Megan Wagner, by the way, but not to help me. She contacted me when she was running for judge because she saw she and I had 2 mutual friends on Facebook. And I said, wow, why are you, I knew who she was. But I said, why are you reaching out to me? Oh, I saw we have mutual friends. And I said, oh, you're running for judge. And I have the whole string of comments. And I said, oh, as a matter of fact, you're the one. Yeah, I know who you are. And I said, you may want to listen to this. So I sent her the link. I sent her the link where Todd Spitzer spit out her name. And she was supposed to contact me. Cricket. Cricket, cricket. She quickly not only deleted me, she ran. She never contacted me again. Oh no, she needed me for support for running for judge. But she said, oh, we can't help individual people. Well, after I sent her that video and said, wow, where'd you go? This isn't about me. This isn't about just you. This is about all of us. We are the silver bullet. We must come together peacefully, but we are the peaceful revolution. Don't even think we aren't. Why? Because we've been lied to. We've been left bare naked to these bankers, to these debt collectors, to this enslavement, peonage, and debt slavery, which congressional regulations were very clear to protect us from. Very clear that these entities are foreign and have no jurisdiction in the several states. Read the Basel Accord. Read the Basel Accord. Third one's a charm, but the organization itself is all about the foreign bankers. These foreign bankers are all members like a AAA, BASEL. Google it. They even say none of what they do has legal effect. And yet their procedures, their manual, their membership guide is what carries over into the CFPB, the SEC, the FTC, the boards that these people sit on, that these bankers sit on. They sit on these boards, and when it comes time to figure out how to fix things or what to do as people come forward, these banking elite that are members of this push their agenda, their bankers' rules and regulations, their membership guide. That's not our laws. They have no legal remedy or right upon us to do this. Share this video, don't share this video. But hear me. You want to fix things? It's not going to be fixed hoping someone else does the work. We have to get the word out. Share www.abolishthebankers.com. Participate. Support us. The interested parties are very active still. When these people heard that the judge was going to destroy their documents, the first thing they said was, how can you destroy documents? This is evidence of crimes. These people have come together. Come together to fight these crimes, to say, Your Honor, you erred. You made an error. We are interested parties, not in Billy's house, but in what she's bringing forward in the criminal side. We are victims of these crimes, these financial crimes against humanity. The Constitution, the Bill of Rights, the Declaration of Independence, folks, these matter. You matter. I matter. My family matters. Your family matters. Make it matter. Congressional intent was very clear. The intent was never to allow foreign usurpation of that which we, the American people, hold beneficial interest at the Treasury and Fed Reserve based on investments and bonds created on our behalf by the U.S. Inc., that Social Security number, that birth certificate, that created bonds. And I can say that I know it because I researched it, because I took the time and hours to go into the Treasury direct account and learn how to find things. Of course, they shut down the Fidelity route. Everybody figured out. When you figure it out and you share publicly, they shut it down. So I haven't shared publicly how I did it. But I went back in time to 1941 is where it started. Where my birth documents started. The bond started. $10,000 a month, $1,000 a month, $5,000 a month. Your driver's license number, your court cases, these QSIPs. I was shocked. Within an hour and a half, I found $2 million and hadn't even gotten through 2 years on just one entry. So anyone that tells you these things don't exist, yeah, I checked, they exist. I've done all the paperwork to the Treasury. I sent everything saying I need the remedy that is mine as the woman and as the holder of the beneficial interest. All of this stuff people talk about. But as very wise men who've known about these for years told me, you don't need a piece of paper to tell you you're a woman. You don't need a piece of paper to tell the Fed Reserve or the Treasury that you have beneficial interest. They know it. The bankers know it. They're the brokers doing this. Simple words were said to me. So we've got all of these gurus out there that for years I decided I was going to do everything possible and try everything so that when it came down to the end, I left no rock unturned. No rock I found, anyhow. And all these rocks, I'm going to tell you a story. This morning, taking my youngest to school, she said to me, Mom, you're making a big deal out of this. This is a little thing. She woke up late this morning, second day of school. And I got furious. I said, honey, do you not realize that every little thing adds up to a big thing? And I used the rock analogy. I said, do you realize that one rock sitting there, and then you bring another rock, and you bring another rock, and you bring another rock? Before long, you have a wall. That's what's happened here. Congress has allowed these bankers to build a wall. Okay, go other places with that too, I guess, but to build a wall around us, the American men and women, blocking us in. On the other side is our accounts that only these brokers have access to. So these little things, oh no, they're not little. Because together, they're one very big racketeering Ponzi scheme with us and that wall built around us. They can get in. They can get in. They, being the bankers, the brokers right now, they get into that wall. They get into our accounts. They get into our lives. They get into these courts. And we're pushing against these walls going, let us out, let us out. Well, just as that individual rock builds that wall, U.S. Bank, Bank of New York Mellon, Wells Fargo, you get the point? We pull those rocks out of that wall around us, and eventually, there's no more wall around us, stopping us from accessing that which is ours, that which creates a zero. How do I do that? Zero. There you go. Zero. At closing. We don't owe anything. As a matter of fact, the bankers owe us. When you steal, when you create bank robbery, that's what they've done. They've robbed the bank. These are global crimes that come straight into our homes, onto our front porches, and they can't be tolerated. We are the silver bullet. Bring it on, folks. You go into these courts, you be respectful. I'm sorry. I'm not one who believes these courts are ours. Because if they were ours right now, we sure wouldn't be living like we are, would we? Our homes wouldn't be stolen. Oh no, they've made it very clear. They, the bankers. These courts are the bankers. But in Powers versus Bank of New York Mellon, we also have a judge who has called it compensable case, who has said it's not frivolous, who told the story of Lehman Brothers and Standards and Moody. Because he was the judge, firsthand knowledge. He told how people who believed they're on time were foreclosed upon. He told about the fraud. He also spoke of a very interesting Ponzi scheme story at the end. He knows. He's a man who knows. He's told the defense, this is not a frivolous case. Got it? He said that. Got it? This is not a frivolous case. I've had ineffective counsel. I'm sitting with handcuffs, literally and figuratively, because I have an attorney who's sabotaged my case. The defense, anybody looking from the outside, the first thing they say is she was bought off. Somebody paid her or somebody scared her. I had somebody directly inside tell me they were sure she took a payoff. Let that resonate with you. Why was she so worried of losing her bar card if she went against the bankers? Why is it the FBI is arresting Aussies and Scots for RICO against the American people? And yet we still have courts throwing us out of our homes. We still have attorneys gathering together, laughing at us, at we the people. It's all fiction. The only real thing in all of this is you and me. We. Powers versus Bank of New York Mellon is not about me on the criminal side. Yes, I have a home. Yes, I want it back. Yes, I filed a case. But the criminal matters to all of us. The DOJ, this is a first impression case. This case proves the congressional laws forbid what these bankers have done to us. It's not a maybe. It's not a could be. They are forbid to do business in the several states, to lend credit to the people and public at large. Their territory is 10 miles square of Washington, D.C., and the insular territories of that, not the several states. There's a reason this has been allowed, and there's a reason we are not going to allow it anymore. President Trump is listening. I don't know, I had an attorney, for what good that did me. She was supposedly listening and didn't know a darn thing about my case. So let's pray that this man is really listening. I've heard he wants to Americanize the Fed Reserve, which means bring it back to the American people, which means bring our accounts back. If you listen, the Republic, there's a very big difference between the Republic and the United States. Big difference. 11 years of doing everything I possibly could, of sending letters, of sending cease and desist, of sending rescissions, of saying, look guys, we got a forged grant deed, I got a landlocked title policy, I have no assignment to anybody that's lawful anywhere. Will someone tell me who's claiming to be the victim here? Who put a penny into this? Someone come forward, verify this debt with me. Because I can't pay someone I don't owe. I can't be in default to someone I don't owe. We are in default only of holding Congress and these lawmakers and these law enforcers to the law, congressional law. We are only in default of the laws being presented, of the laws being used. Think about this. When we have laws where the crime and the punishment matter, these laws that say on one act of fraud alone, it's $1 million fine and up to 30 years in prison, and each of us start counting how many pieces of fraud that we have, how many times you've sent a QWR, qualified written request, how many times you've issued a rescission, how many times everything's gone unheard or unacknowledged, how many affidavits you've sent that have been unrebutted by opposing counsel or someone who supposedly has standing. Gavin Sang, vice president of the Bank of New York Mellon, whose autograph appears on Power of Attorneys, told me, and so many others, we don't own your home or the loan. We don't own the property. Do you realize these REMICs, what they're supposed to be holding is the collateral? These empty REMICs, because the collateral, guess what it is, folks? It's the collateral deposit of 100% matching funds of cash. They're supposed to be holding these. That's what the pooling and servicing agreement, that all of this is about. Show us the collateral deposit, because you don't have one. Show us the documents, the wire transfer. Show us those checks, those bank checks, which some have seen. And those bank checks, have you, the homeowner, member bank, remember, your name on them. But obviously you didn't autograph the back because you didn't know they existed. Why would any of us go to a banker for a loan when our credits are already sitting there to access? There is no real elite status anywhere. No one is worth more than another, when in fact we have the credits to live as we were promised. The remedy is there. The treasurers, the treasury, the comptrollers, senators, congressmen. I read somewhere that the no-name man who made $176,000 a year, was worth $216 million. I'm not the best mathematician, but where did that $216 million come from? When in fact there is no dollars. So he's got a lot of credits that came from somewhere. Gun running, human trafficking on paper, mortgage fraud. All of this has one common denominator, and it's a broker. It's a banker. These are bankers' wars. We have to protect our country. We have borders that need to be protected. We need to be protected. We don't need to see journalists getting to the truth dying anymore, being murdered. How can someone shoot themselves in the back of the head and it be called a suicide? This country has become a joke. We have the best country in the world, and it's called America. It's called the American Republic. We do business with the United States Incorporated. It's a phenomenal business platform. It includes the Fed Reserve, the IRS. I had a very good friend, David, and I, back in 2014, we were working together researching all of this, saying, oh, we might as well do this, see if it works, see what happens. And he and I both decided, you know what, this really is a circle of very, very good business. It's a great platform. The problem is it's been usurped. Why? Because you'll be told, oh, if the American people had access to their accounts, oh my gosh, nobody'd work. It'd be unruly. They'd waste it. Really? Because the only ones I see wasting anything is what is called our government and what is called the bankers. We have people living in housing units with toilets don't work, that toilets don't work, or rats are running rampant. We have children going without food. We have people being demoralized because they're on food stamps or aid. Well, guess what? That's all coming out of their own account, people. These people aren't taking anything from you. They're being made to appear an appearance that they're getting something you're giving them. That man or woman that tells you, oh, you're nuts, that are paying a mortgage on time or a deed of trust, promissory note. Heck, let's go give them our bills then, because if they're so willing to pay somebody they don't owe and be so staunch in standing in that, let's let them pay for us. Because for some reason, when you tell someone you don't owe something and they argue with you, you have to wonder, who's really the crazy one? Of course, I've been called crazy. I'm Irish. I'm Scot. Got a lot of other things in me too, right down to Indian. But I'm not crazy. I won't let anyone throw that tag upon me. Got to tell you, I threw it on myself a couple of times going through this lately, thinking I'm crazy to take this on. I want it to end. I just want my house back. I want my life back. I want to travel with my children. I want to live. I want to grow vegetables and raise horses again. I want to have my equine therapy. And then I think, wait a minute, that's a lot of I. There's no I in team. Billy, Rene, Francis, Lillian Powers, you cannot think of just yourself. And you're not crazy. Anyone watching this, you're not crazy. You're not in default to someone you don't owe. There should be no bonds having to be given to an account somewhere sitting while you fight for your home that's yours. We have attorneys going into court, these debt collectors, pretending to represent banks. The banks are out of it. They did the dirty deed. They've sold this paper. Things have transferred. It's all fraud. Fraud can't transfer fraud. All of these titles that have been stolen, they're still ours. Title cannot pass by fraud. Law voids equals damages. They steal your home. That's a felony of the highest degree, folks. You start adding up what the Department of Justice can reap from taking this first impression case and indicting the bankers who have been usurping our precious accounts that have our beneficial interest in them, have created felonious documents, felonious collateral deposits, and you do the math. It's hundreds of trillions of dollars in fines and lifetimes in prison. Isn't it time that in America, our feds, our DOJ, does for us what it should? Takes the Powers versus Bank in New York Mellon criminal actions up to the DOJ for all of us. Because guess what? Under quitam, potato, I may not say it right. Remember, this is why we don't go into that damn courtroom and think we can represent ourselves, because potato and potato, they're not the same thing. And we don't speak legalese. But one thing I do know is the DOJ and Donald Trump, our president, Donald Trump, knows the truth, knows that these bankers must be indicted for we the people. The FBI is indicting Scots and Aussies on racketeering in the United States. And you know why? Because in Australia, I found out through a dear man who I've been working with, who's part of our Sledgehammer legal team, they don't have racketeering laws. Only the United States does, not Aussies. Now think about that for a minute. We have the strongest racketeering laws. We're bringing Aussies and Scots for indictments, and yet you and me are being kicked out of our homes illegally with the same racketeering. And the only reason is because the judges' retirements are tied into this. Retirements are tied into all of this Ponzi scheme. Is that our fault? Nope. But it's our responsibility to our title, to our family, to our country, to say enough, get this case up to the DOJ. It's worth hundreds of trillions of dollars. Credits. But it doesn't matter. Takes care of our national deficit. Takes care of homelessness. Do you realize how many homeless there are on the streets right now? Do you realize how much mental illness there is? This is all by grand design. These fires coming through, destroying homes, neighborhoods. This is a grand design. How many foreclosures have been through there? How much insurance has kicked in and paid for everything? How many things still have our name in the all cap attached to us, the benefactor? I know for me, there was never a real foreclosure. I gave proof of that. I'm still giving proof of that. And I'm living proof that you can do this. I'm not an anomaly. These crimes are not an anomaly. These are financial crimes against humanity at large. And Congress has laws on the books. This is forbidden. Stealing our property is forbidden. We don't need to go down any more rabbit holes. It's that simple. I went live today because I've had so many people reaching out, so many people being kicked to the curb, living in hotels, not knowing where to go, family trying to help and some not caring because they don't believe. They have no belief in their own family members telling them the truth, that they're being kicked out in fraud. Well, more are believing every day. Because you know why? You know why. If you're going through this, you know why more are believing. Because more are having it happen to them. These revenue agents with badges, they're arresting people for false charges. They're taking automobiles, they're taking property, all in the name of revenue. These are corporations. That's not what our republic is about. This is not what our lives are meant to live like. Okay, so with that happy note, get it together, folks. Support this case. Support congressional laws being heard. Everywhere you go, you tell people, we're the bank. Everything's prepaid. We have no debt owed as the bank, but we have a lot owed in return. The usurpation of everything that is ours must be returned. That's our remedy. That's our right. Read your Constitution, but read strongly your Declaration of Independence and your Bill of Rights. And read that Bible and think about the court system. Because the Old Testament, I learned from Yusufel long ago, is how the courts are set up. I learned that back in about 2011, 2012. And when I started reading the Bible to comprehend a little bit more about why things were happening, and when I walked into that courtroom and saw the bench sitting high and us below, and that swinging gate, and the jury of 12 with an alternate. Think about these things, folks. We have a business manual written, and it's called the Bible. Whether you believe in God or not, when you start reading that business manual on how to live and how we're supposed to be living, that's what the banks have usurped. Everything. Empowers me. I'm tired. You're tired. We're fed up, but we are the silver bullet, guys. We together hold collectively the peaceful revolution that's already started. 50 to 70 people in that courtroom. 60 were counted, but I know there was more. On July 30th, it overflowed because we matter. Because people know, who know me, that this key tam is ours. It's ours to share in. It heals us. It brings us back to greatness again. And that's how we make America great again. That's how we do it. This racial divide, these gun laws, all this stuff being talked about, that's all diversions against us seeing the bank's fraud. It's all bank's fraud. It's simple. It's very simple. It really is. And I beg you to please look at the simplicity of following congressional laws that are clearly intended to keep us from the usurpation of these foreign entities invading our homelands, invading our homes, invading our lives, stealing our equity, stealing everything that is ours, and brokering our own accounts and telling us we owe them unsecured credit cards, basically. So I went live this morning because I am alive. You're alive. Even those in death have lived through this usurpation in your family. Think about your parents. Think about your grandparents. Think about the fact that they too had accounts that were set up in their name and that they had to apply for retirement. They had to apply. No. William Wagner, again, the other night when I was speaking to him, he said, do you realize your case is worth millions to every American? Why aren't they getting behind it? I said, I think they're afraid. They're afraid to give up comfort zone, even if that comfort zone is a war zone against them, because it's known to them. Is that what you want? I want to take my family to dinner, to sit around and talk about wonderful family memories. I want my home back. I want my land back. I want my life back. I'm a silver bullet. Are you?